Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Weekly. I'm the man they call Meathead, and no, that's not the cat's hair after drinking a glass of milk. This is Movember Mustache. Linda, I know that you were trying to grow one with us too. Matthew, I know that you said you couldn't grow one with us too, but how's the team doing? How's Linda? How's Matthew?
I am doing, as I always say, guys, hashtag tremendous. Enjoying this being Thanksgiving week, just trying to get stuff done and just coming off the heels of a great pay-per-view.
It was a full gear pay-per-view, Matthew.
I'm doing great because I'm in the presence of Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck, yeah, I don't know about Tom Selleck. It could be Magnum PI. It could be, well, the PI'd be chasing me around, with his mustache. Hey,
About you, I'm talking about Tom Selleck's here. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom, yeah. We're big supporters of Movember.com here, but we're also big supporters of our sponsor, Linda, and that's Collar and Elbow.
Absolutely. Everyone, while we kindly welcome you, always using promo code LindaK to save yourself 10% off your order. Right now, our great pals at Collar and Elbow are offering an advanced Black Friday special where you can save 30% off your order. Now, Meathead, can you remind us of what that promo code is, or should we just have everyone
the promo code is the promo code is LindaK, LINDAKAY. It's 30% off without the promo code. The man they call me is going to try to put that promo code in there too. Yes. In Milwaukee, if it's free, it's me. So, I'll try to save me a nickel. Matthew, you saved a nickel before?
I've saved a nickel. And but basically, the folks at Collar and Elbow, they're saying your money is no good here. They're saying come to the website and just load up on your supplies and, do that. Enter promo code LindaK, enter promo code Matthew Thomas if you want to. Enter promo code the man they call Meathead. Enter promo code. Just type in whatever you want to type in. But
Tom Selleck's mustache is awesome is a promo code, I think.
You're at least going to save 30%.
Collarandelbowbrand.com. And might I also add Meathead, our friends at ProWrestlingInsurance.com. It is open enrollment season. While you can add affordable supplemental coverage plan to what you currently have or what you currently don't have, you can do that any time of year. But right now, very, really important, especially with it being open enrollment. Go to ProWrestlingInsurance.com. Chat with our friend Chris. He can give you the latest and greatest and what you need to know to add that coverage as low as $9 a month to make sure you are covered anywhere you are 24/7. You get paid if you get hurt. Go to ProWrestlingInsurance.com.
It's
talk
funny
to Chris to find out more about that.
It's funny that you bring that up in case a random foot slides in underneath your chest gear and hits you right in the ribs. You might have to look at some pro wrestling insurance because some guys like to get that right underneath your protective gear. So
yes, that's insurance for everybody.
That's right. Let's talk a little bit of news before we kind of get into the week that was. Jamie Noble wrestling at a house show in WWE in front of his hometown fans in West Virginia next month. And this Jamie Noble was taken out of wrestling due to injury, and he's been an agent, producer in the back for a long time. Jamie Noble trying to get in that one last match in front of family, friends, and this may be the end of it. Linda, I know you've run into Jamie Noble, obviously, in the back. When you're visiting catering. Well, I mean, that's the only reason we go to WWE shows is to get back into the catering. Jim Ross will tell you about Milwaukee catering. I'll tell you what, it's a slobber knocker. Linda, your thoughts on Jamie Noble getting in that last match?
That is great to hear. He's still in excellent shape. And, we see him on Raw or SmackDown almost every week, breaking fights apart or whatnot, but obviously a huge role in back as an agent, and his input obviously really important as well. So to find out he's getting a chance to get back in ring, even if it is for just this one final match and back home, is awesome to hear.
By the way, can I mention, I just noticed this right now as I'm focused in on you and the folks here that are watching focused in on you. I love your Laverne themed L on your jacket.
Yes, I don't think it was meant to be like Laverne and Shirley, but for those who know, obviously Laverne and Shirley based in Milwaukee.
Shemizel.
Yes. This just happens to be a cursive L and in one of my favorite colors. So yes, thank you for catching that.
Matthew Thomas, while we were dodging balloons filled with nitrous in Milwaukee, I pointed out, I said, hey, that's the Laverne and Shirley clock right there. It says, welcome to Milwaukee. Didn't you dance? I mean, I know that you danced off to the side, but didn't you dance to the song too? Were you holding arm in arm?
Yeah, and I did the whole thing, and I did the whole thing arm in arm with the bronze Fonzie statue as well.
Nice. Again, we randomly came across that. Linda, we walked down. I'm like, it's got to be down. And Matthew goes, it's right there. Yes, I found it. How can you miss it? Well, I mean, there was nothing floating in the river that, we were nervous about. So, Matthew Thomas, thoughts on Jamie Noble?
Oh, I think it's great to hear he's getting one last match, and hopefully after this is done, he can get back to concentrating on J&J Security.
J&J Security. That was Joey and Jamie Security. Who did they work for? The Authority?
Seth, they were, remotely, and then Seth Rollins was who they were most linked with, and that was around the time that I believe Seth Rollins gave Kane his Hawaiian vacation.
Yeah, right around that time. Hey, let's take a vacation from this conversation, move our way to SmackDown from last Friday night. The Brawling Brutes and the Bloodline will be having a War Games match. They know who the 5 are for the Bloodline, but Matthew, it was announced finally Friday, the 5th member of the Brawling Brutes is KO. And we've speculated this all along. Sammy was told that he'll be surprised at who the member is. The seeds of the bloodline breaking up? No. The seeds of the bloodline, more tension? Yes. And I think this is the path to getting those belts off the Usos. Kevin Owens joining the Brawling Brutes.
No, I think so. I think introducing KO into this, it really shifts a potential highlight to program with him and Sammy, whether it be against each other or whether it be as a tag team. And I think this is the right thing to do to capitalize on all of this momentum that Sammy has really had in the last handful of months. So this was a good call by whoever booked this.
That's right. Hey, who's booking Emma and Madcap Moss? That's a new thing that's happening. Emma, big fan of Madcap Moss, Matthew.
Yeah, let's see where this goes. I feel like potentially you're losing a little bit of steam here with the premiere of Emma and throwing her immediately into storyline like this. But one of my complaints a lot of times with the women's division is you don't have any storylines outside of the titles. Picture.
Right.
This is a storyline outside of the title picture, although it's not really a self-contained feud within the women's division. But yeah, I'll wait and reserve my opinion on this.
Linda, Karrion Kross defeats. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, along those lines, with Emma and Madcap being together in real life, that hasn't really been said on TV, but it was hinted last week. I think she was talking to Shotzi or something, and she was like, "Oh, do you have a crush on Madcap or whatever?" And obviously, her coming to see Madcap before his match. But I don't know if you guys caught it, but at the end of the match, maybe you were getting to this, Meathead, with Scarlett. I was combining Emma and Scarlett. You got Karrion and Scarlett together, and then you had Madcap and Emma. So I see something happening.
No, you smelled what I was putting down. I mean, you got it. It was Karrion Kross defeating Madcap Moss, but yeah, there's something there. I don't know if Scarlett works. I don't know if she wrestles, but there's a feud going on right there. Let's talk about LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. This is very unique to me. You don't see a hot-headed, big mouth guy go against the cerebral assassin, no pun intended, to Triple H of a Bray Wyatt. Normally it's more head games, but the pairing of LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. LA Knight, that first slap was terrible. It was just a tap slap, right? But LA Knight getting his shots in on Bray Wyatt, Linda.
Yeah, I mean, this was teased the week prior. Now we see some movement with this. I loved how, there was that off chance, like, oh, he might actually come in, shake his hand kind of thing. But nope, that was great. That's the LA Knight that we need to be, I don't say introduced to, but informed of, I guess, to
reminded
of the audience right now. Reminded of, yes. And if you didn't know, now you know. Not to quote, oh my goodness. Action. Hello, I can't think of it. Oh my God.
Reggie Jackson.
No.
Tom Selleck.
Oh my. No. Why am I totally brain farting right now? Hit row.
Tom Glavine.
There you go. Tom Glavine.
So
yes.
I digress. And then just to follow back, Charlotte. Charlotte. I keep saying Charlotte. Scarlett does wrestle. I don't know if she has lately, but I've definitely seen her work when her and Karrion were tag team community. So hopefully that's something brewing. But to get back to your point, not to jump too far ahead on the whole LA Knight thing, but this is definitely a unique way to slowly get us into this whole feud, as we saw later on in the episode. But I thought this was brilliant. It's showing his charisma and his character as well.
Do you notice the little LAs all over his vest? The little LAs that he's got on there. So the guy is a walking billboard right now. The back of the jacket says LA Knight, but the little absolutely LAs, almost like it said Gucci or something on there. It's just LAs instead. So for us wanting Eli Drake, it's not going to happen. The guy's branded now as LA Knight. But you know what? It's better than Max Dupree.
Yeah, and I think it was our deviation to Max Dupree that made us appreciate LA Knight now.
Right.
It rolls off the tongue a little bit better.
Yeah. Matthew, your thoughts on what happened with LA Knight after he was heading out the door and we saw the little mask in the background? The little at the end of that did show Uncle Howdy.
This might be one of the biggest surprises in WWE booking of the entire year. And I love it. You know, you just didn't, especially with this reset of LA Knight, you know, if you go back to how stuff is typically booked, you're going to have him, you know, working not necessarily squash matches, but you're going to have a gradual reintroduction and throw that character in immediately with the returning Bray Wyatt. I think these two match up great together. And I think it's just so unexpected to see these two working together. And it gets that different gear out of LA Knight and really telegraphs to the fan base that, hey, this guy, you can take him serious. And I think this is probably my favorite storyline in WWE right now.
Butch defeating Sami Zayn was the prelude to the Brawling Brutes and the Bloodline kind of battling. And they said, Roman's coming, Roman's coming. Well, Roman showed up at the end, started delivering Superman punches and spears. And then they find out that the fifth member of the Brawling Brutes is KO. And they focus right in on Sami. They're leading us there. Linda, we've always talked about it. Matthew, we've always talked about it. It's right in front of us the whole time. Matthew, your thoughts on KO joining the Brawling Brutes?
Yeah, and it gives KO a high-profile storyline as well, too. Something that's kind
which he belongs in.
Yeah, from his repertoire for a little while now. So, and again, I think, you know, with Sami catching fire like this is a really, really good chance to, you know, prominently let KO kind of get that rub from, you know, working with Sami for the umpteenth time, which, you know, we've had enough time away from those two where I think it will feel, you know, fresh and, you know, revigorated here. And again, KO is not working with the same Sami he's worked with before. This is the Sami
he's winning with Ultra Uzi Sami.
Yeah, and the Sami who is quintessentially the top babyface in the WWE, even though he's in a heel stable.
Yeah. Linda, your thoughts on Sami now having a nemesis on the Brawling Brutes and KO. And let me ask you this. I'll set you up and you tell us what you think. Does Sami cost the Bloodline the match at War Games due to his not wanting to go after Kevin Owens? And does that get him kicked out of the Bloodline?
I think that will happen, but I don't think it'll kick him out of the Bloodline quite yet. I think the unveiling of this being Kevin Owens as the fifth member of the other team wasn't a surprise, but great to see just that pause, just that moment of the face-to-face almost between him and Sami on SmackDown was huge. Again, to your point, Matthew, this is a different Sami Zayn that he's facing, but I didn't think too far ahead as you guys did. When you mentioned it a little bit ago, when we started talking about SmackDown, you said this is probably just laying the platform down to try to eventually get the belts off the Usos and putting it with KO and Sami Zayn. I didn't think about that too far ahead, but that sounds insane to think about.
Insane, right? Exactly.
Insane, yes. Just considering how on top of the world the Bloodline is, but I'm definitely looking forward to this. I think we'll just get a taste of eventually Sami, not necessarily getting kicked out, but a combination of the attitude toward him from the rest of the Bloodline kind of starting, his feelings kind of turning as well, realizing, hey, KO is my best friend. We can be this strong tag team, then they can be the top tag team eventually if they do take the belts.
And be the ones that beat the Usos, because we've always talked about this over the years. Who gets the steam after such a big, monumentous run? And Undertaker losing at WrestleMania went to Brock Lesnar. We had said at the time Brock Lesnar didn't need it, but actually Brock Lesnar did need it, and it made Brock Lesnar into the stratosphere. So And then that steam from Brock Lesnar actually went on to Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns is now who he is. Let's switch gears into Full Gear. You see what I did there. Let's talk about Full Gear from Saturday night. We were talking PWR Fantasy Draft before we went on the air, and we all have busy lives, right? I'm busy growing a mustache. Linda's busy being down in a Ville, working the OV dub. Matthew's busy working for Stark Industries.
Mm-hmm.
None of us picked up Maxwell. I almost said Michael. Maxwell Jacob Freeman. So no one had him for the pay-per-view on Saturday. Unbelievable. Let's talk about the pre-show, or 0 hour as it's called. AEW All-Atlantic Champion, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy coming out to June. And his best friends taking on the Factory. QT, Nick Camarado, Aaron Solo, Lee Johnson, and Cole Carter. It was 5-on-5 action, and this match was all over the place. Linda, your thoughts on the 5-on-5 on the 0 hour?
Well, great way to kick off the show. I went in thinking best friends would pick up that victory, or team best friends, if you will, and they indeed got it, which is great. Again, with
Danhausen grabbing a jar of teeth is what happened.
Yeah, and that was funny because on Rampage they're like, oh, with the fifth member, like a mystery saying, but the fifth member is very nice, very evil. So I just kind of came on with that, and then of course the team. You knew there was going to be some shenanigans there, but glad to see the best friends winning.
Matthew, thoughts on Danhausen and his very nice but very evil teeth?
Well, hey, this is one thing AEW does very well. They want to kick things off with something that will get people invested, and that's June. People like hearing that song. Jefferson Starship or Airplane, or even the theme song from the Jeffersons is Jefferson. Moving on. Always a great way to kick off an AEW show, and this was no exception.
Fish don't burn in the kitchen, and beans don't burn on the grill. All right. Let's move on to the World Title Eliminator semifinal match. Now, something was amiss here. I thought the finals were supposed to be on the pay-per-view. It looks like that got moved off of it. So they did the semifinals on the pay-per-view. And then I believe it's going to be All Ego Ethan Page taking on the winner of this match, who is absolute Ricky Starks. He gets by the Machine, Brian Cage.
Yeah, this is a program that they need. I mean, you've got two in the finals. You've got Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. Going into the finals. Those are two people that I think AEW could really be well served from highlighting that they really haven't as of late. So glad to see them making this happen, and one of them's going to walk away as the number one contender.
Linda, who do you think wins this eliminator and gets the number one shot, the title shot at Winter is Coming? Is it Ricky Starks? Is it going to be All Ego Ethan Page?
And they get the shot at the AEW heavyweight.
They get they become the number one contender.
With MJF now being the new champion, I want to go with Ricky Starks. Just due to having a face and heel. Although MJF, you're still not, he's kind of face and heel, just kind of back and forth. So we're not really sure with that, but I don't know. Now that I think about it further, I think Ethan.
You're really thinking it out, yeah.
I really am. I didn't really think too much about that. I was just thinking more so about Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, like being former tag or faction members,
sure,
what have you. But I guess we'll just see when that time comes. I think that's going to be a huge feud. I think they're both great on the mic, and there'll be a lot of steam in that one when it does happen.
I think it's right in front of us, like we say continuously here. I think it's going to be All Ego Ethan Page going up against MJF. Who, again, spoiler alert, we'll get to that in just a little bit. But All Ego Ethan Page has been really the one on fire right now. Ricky just coming back. So let's talk about Akiyama taking on Eddie Kingston. Akiyama now a member of All Elite. This is a small problem with this American company called All Elite Wrestling. They continue to bring in the international talents that I have no clue who the hell these people are. But Akiyama can go in the ring. Linda, thoughts on Akiyama and the Mad King? And I don't know if you saw the promo after the match. He goes, how much time we got? Crap. All right, we got to go. Buy the pay-per-view, damn it.
Yeah. Oh, man, he's great.
It was gold.
Yes. That's why, he's so relatable with the fans that you just got to love the guy.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a continuation from Rampage, him getting that dream match of more stars from Japan. If that got a huge pop, at Rampage. Let's have another match with Eddie Kingston, another legend that he's been looking to work with, and especially leading right into the actual start of Full Gear. It was great.
Yep, and Matthew, the match, or the pay-per-view Full Gear, started with the cage match. It was Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Luchasaurus. Was this a landmark victory for Jungle Boy?
It absolutely was. And I think I'll take it a step further. I think this was a landmark match for AEW. I don't ever remember a cage match opening a pay-per-view. And when we ran down the card last week, this was kind of an afterthought as far as the matches that I personally focused on. I think this in and of itself was match of the night. I think this stole the show. They told a great story inside of that cage that absolutely made Jack Perry. I think it went a long way to making Luchasaurus as well, too. The best match I've seen either of these two have. And I think your AEW show, your pay-per-view, when you look back on this in a few years, it's going to really be bookended by an era of a heel champion and the beginning of basically really setting up who could be one of the top baby faces in that company, if not the industry, in Jack Perry. This was a great match inside of a cage. This was this reminded me of a bit of a nostalgic storytelling match inside of a cage. That cage was really there to tell the story, to be the culmination in this feud, between these two. And something else you don't see a ton of in any company, maybe besides GCW, is color.
Did you say GCW?
GCW is color in the first match. We had color in the first match, but I liked it here because it was a storytelling device in a cage match. This was outstanding. My match of the night.
Okay. And, right before the pay-per-view, the team they call Meatheads did pick up Jungle Boy Jack Perry for that specialty/win in the match. So your winner of the match, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, a little bit of juicy on his head in reference to GCW, but Jack Perry with a big-time win. Let's talk about the AEW World Trios Championship. The champions, the Death Triangle, Rey Fenix, Penta El Zero Miedo, and the Bastard Pack take on the returning Wayward Sons of Kansas. It was Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. Here comes Matt and Nick Jackson, Don Callis, Brandon Cutler, Michael Nakazawa, and the entire team. This was like a boxing match where the entourage was 17 members long. Matthew?
Yeah, you are really telling a different story with the Elite now. And I think there are people bought into the Elite that were not necessarily prior to this. This, and we can kind of sum it up at the end, but I think this will be a landmark pay-per-view for AEW in the fact that you had that first era from 2019 through this past summer where you had, we'll just say it, Punk. You had a notable former WWE talent brought in. You had everything happen with the Bucks and with Omega. And now you have got, I think, a groundswell of people in the fan base who are ready to get AEW back to what they fell in love with, what was the alternative to WWE. And this return of the Elite, I think it felt really good for a lot of AEW fans in the fact that, okay, you're kind of going back to basics here. You're going back to, some pillars of what you originally really liked about the company. And I want to add as well, I think this trios division is a really good place for the Elite right now. You had it with Cody, you had it with, these three EVPs. You're always going to have that conversation being held over your head of, are they being booked too strong? I think seeing the Bucks and Omega work together in this trios division, this feels like a great, great place for them right now where you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk, Linda, how about the return of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Team Longtime picking up the Elites before the pay-per-view. Linda, one of my favorite things to do is to have real music play talent in, and it was Kansas carrying on with their Wayward Son.
Absolutely. That was a fun surprise. As we know, the sing-along's a huge thing in AEW, and Tony Khan just racking up the bills on getting the rights to a lot of these very popular.
I just want to say, I think WWE has missed the boat on this by not having this as Carry on Cross's music.
Oh, goodness. No, I like Carry on Cross's current awesome hard scary kind of song. But back to the Elite. Yes, Team Longtime did pick up the Elite prior to Full Gear. Did we discuss the finish yet? I don't think we got that far, did we? Can I mention that?
Bring up the finish. No, you're
all right.
Your
so
time.
They did not get So the Elite unfortunately did not get the victory as far as getting more points for Team Longtime. Obviously, they got a point to them being there for the match, but great to see them back. And to your point, Matthew, yes, this is a monumental pay-per-view. If you think about all the stuff behind the scenes, and you got the crowds chanting some explicits with CM Punk's name, and were the Bucks encouraging that or not? I don't know. I gotta kind of watch it back, or that's what I was just reading. Not saying that was confirmed. I was not at the Prudential Center as well, but great to see them back, bringing just some more life. Not saying there was like missing an AEW, but just a huge piece of where they are, the foundation now back, and great to see them in this trios best of 7 kind of scenario.
That's coming up.
So cool to see. But hey, I'm happy to have them on Team Longtime as well.
The last and best of 7 I saw had 8 matches in it. Booker T, Chris Benoit, where they tied in the last one and had to take it to pay-per-view. So, maybe we'll get a bunch more matches between the Death Triangle and the Elite. So the TBS Championship match, Jade Cargill is technically the champion, Linda, but she never had the belt. And she had her baddies, Kiera Hogan and Layla Gray, who's going to be showing up at Blizzard Brawl coming up on December 3rd here in the Waukesha area, taking on the Native Beast, Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero and Marina Shafir. I don't know why I was thinking of Momar Sharif. No, Marina Shafir. Linda, Jade wasn't losing this. There was no way. And she was getting her belt back. Basically, this is the end, the button on this little story.
Yeah, I'm glad she does have it back in her possession. Can I just add Vicky Guerrero wearing that "I'm Your Poppy" shirt? That being cool. I saw Rhea Ripley send a tweet, the heart or something along those lines regarding Vicky wearing that shirt. So that was just cool to see. But no, I definitely felt Jade was getting this. It was cool to see her own move attempted to be done. Or no, I think she did hit it on her, but obviously Jade did not submit to her own move. But just great to see that the title is back. And now we, ironically, just through this program alone, this feud, now Jade is face, definitely, I believe.
It doesn't matter. I mean, as long as she doesn't tell Tony to cut the shit or whatever that line is. I mean, yeah.
She hasn't been saying it. She just wanted her, in the words of our truth, she just wanted her baby back.
That's right. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back. What I want to talk about is the team they call Meatheads just randomly picked up Jade Cargill pay-per-view or 2 ago, just to keep soaking up those pay-per-view appearance and title wins. I don't see her losing anytime soon, Matthew Thomas.
Yeah. One thing I want to add about this match, though, the story that was told was Jade trying to prevent a wardrobe malfunction. If you go back and watch this, and
she didn't want her knees exposed.
This stuff happens, but if you go back and watch this, there were probably between 50 to 60 wardrobe adjustments by Jade.
Did a butt crack show up?
No. So no butt crack rule here. But it got to the point where that was almost the story that was being told, and we have it happen quite a bit. It's happened with Mandy, several times here in the not so distant future. But it's always kind of in an off spot in the match where the adjustment happens. If you go back and watch this, there was one spot where Jade is being pinned, and prior to her kicking out, she's adjusting. So she's got the energy to adjust prior to kicking. It got to a point where that was the overarching theme here. So just, a little something to kind of add there. It was what it was. I didn't see Jade losing the title here. I think it was a super convoluted storyline with the whole, 2 titles or the stealing of the title and this, that, and the other. I think AEW may have booked themselves into a corner with Jade in the fact that she is one of the most marketable and crossover talents that they have. The airport test. You see Jade walking through an airport. My goodness, who is that? That's somebody. I think you may be at a level now, and you may have always been at a level where Jade doesn't necessarily need a belt.
Here's what you can do, though. If you really believe that, you want to make Jade stronger, you could have her go after the AEW Women's Interim Champion and drop the TNT Championship or the TVS Championship.
Yeah, and I would almost rather see that. I'd almost rather see her, basically come out and say, hey, this is beneath me at this point. I'm going after, the big gold. And I think at that point, you could have her win that title and drop that title, because the problem they've got now is it feels like this title was made for her. This almost feels like an FTW type of title. And so like they're having the trouble of actually separating her from the title. I think maybe you get a little bit more towards that, or go after the big one and she gets cocky and she's not as, good as she thought. And it's a big win for somebody else. But yeah, I think you need to go ahead, because you're starting to get almost like a Goldberg sounding streak right now. And I don't serving anybody.
I guess, technically she wouldn't, Linda, I'll get to you in 1 second. I guess technically she wouldn't want to drop that because you don't want to drop a baby, right, Linda?
Yes. I was just going to say that I believe this was win 41-0 or 42-0. So we're getting to that 50 mark. Is that the point?
And these are real matches too, not inflated matches where Goldberg's 73-0. The guy's been in the company 2 days. Yeah.
But yeah, will that be a monumental moment where there is a switch happening? So I feel now that this program with Nyla, I would assume is done.
I would assume that it's done.
We're going to start something with somebody new very shortly.
Let's start a new match, and let's start the ROH World Championship. The Ocho, the champion, Chris Jericho, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, Spanish God, Sammy Guevara, and Claudio Castagnoli. I had Claudio in this match. Linda, you had Chris Jericho, the reigning and defending and still champion of Ring of Honor, Chris Jericho. The Ocho remains champ.
Yes, great to see there. I've had Jericho from day one-ish and still being a huge presence on the AEW pay-per-views. But I definitely enjoyed this match. I think the whole story between him and Sammy, that was a huge moment there, where it's understood that they're there to put themselves on top. It's not always just about, even though Jericho the Ocho is the leader of JAS, but when you're in that, put in your match and you're going for yourself, and that was cool to see that they had their little spiff in the ring, but that was okay.
Okay,
but
it's understood. Yeah, that'll be fine. Matthew, let's talk about that match real quick, and then move our way into Britt Baker and Saraya. First, your thoughts on the Ring of Honor Championship, Matthew.
I think they're telling an interesting story with Jericho here. So I'll go back to saying this. I said on this program last week that this was potentially the match of the night. I think it was a great match. I think you've got too much going on with these two stables for it to really get to that point. You were trying to tell that story of these two stables trying to coexist with each other, but also have this match. So there was a little, maybe too much going on there to really kind of keep this from being what it could have been. I think it was a great match nonetheless. And it's an interesting story they're telling with Jericho, because it's like after he won the title, they are trying to make the case of, he really does like this ROH title now, where it was kind of this thing that he was going to destroy the company. Now he's growing fond of this title. So I do like the storytelling device that they're going to there.
Okay. Your thoughts, Matthew, on Britt Baker and Saraya? This is Saraya's first match in, 5 years?
Yeah, this was a big deal, seeing her back in the ring. And I was very curious.
Is it Saraya or Saraya?
Saraya.
All right, Saraya. My apologies. Go ahead.
I was very curious as to how they would book this, because Britt Baker, has been one of your pivotal stars in the women's division there. But I think it was a really, really good feel-good moment to see Saraya get the win here. And, I mean, that's a potential AEW women's champ right there.
Linda, Saraya returning. What did you think? How did she look?
Amazing. And I loved how we saw her brother at ringside, and also you could see and feel her emotions just walking out, getting in the ring and just performing. They had a lot of moments where it was focused on her neck, because they wanted you to feel that too, like, oh man, let's avoid that neck, that is obviously what she's coming back from injury from, but obviously still well protected. I thought her and Britt, especially the weeks leading up with their confrontations, definitely helped build a lot more emotion into this, and we saw that in that victory by Saraya, and just excited to see where they do push her. Because remember when she first came to AEW, we really didn't know what her role was. Was she doing stuff backstage?
She was going to lead a division, is what she said. She was going to lead a division. Well, and let's pull the curtain back a little bit here. She works with Britt Baker because they are probably very close with each other. It's as close as that car is. So, I mean, Britt.
Fire truck.
Okay. Britt Baker was the one that got to work with Saraya because they probably trusted each other the most. Remember, when you bring somebody in like that, like when Roman Reigns came back, remember, Roman Reigns has leukemia. Okay, we forgot about that in the bloodline Roman Reigns, but Roman only worked with a handful of people, and it was people that he trusted. So Saraya coming back to work with Britt Baker on TV, yes, but backstage and in the ring, I mean, these two are very tight. Let's talk about the TNT Championship. It was a triple threat. It was Wardlow. It was the ROH World TV Champion Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs getting some shine, but the winner and now double champion Samoa Joe. Linda.
Who had Samoa Joe? Was it you, Meathead? Matthew?
Mm-mm.
I feel one of us, or maybe it was last year's. Him being a double champ. So unfortunately for Team Long
I had him. I dropped him a while ago because he wasn't doing anything.
Well, unfortunately for Team Long Time,
Wardlow
did lose that title. This was a match I was looking forward to, though.
It's one of your 2 title losses Saturday night, Linda.
Whatever. That's okay. We still have some time before this draft wraps up, but I digress. I still think things are going to go Wardlow's way in the future. I feel that this is not over between actually all 3 of them, because you mentioned Powerhouse Hobbs did get a lot of that shine, and they, even at the end when they showed Wardlow and Hobbs looking at each other, like there's still something brewed between the 3 of them. Yeah. So I'm still happy to have Wardlow on the team because I feel that perhaps I might swing back this way.
That pendulum could swing back that way, Matthew. And let's swing the pendulum to Matthew and ask, is there something bigger coming for Samoa Joe? Because there was always an issue with Joe maybe being hurt or maybe not being on TV. He's on, off, on, off. The guy's holding 2 belts right now.
I think this is them correcting all the belts that are in AEW/ROH. And I think Joe's just going to go around and grab them all up. So he's got 2 now, probably going to grab another 2 to 3. Maybe he's the one to take it off.
Maybe he finds the 24/7 championship.
Yeah.
He's the one to take it. They're going to make the TBS title something off where it's either gender, so he's going to take that off Jade as well.
Yeah. You've got Orange Cassidy with his backpack. Joe's going to have some like rolling luggage or something.
Sting and Darby Allin, Jay Lethal, and JEFF, JARRETT. Matthew, was this a nostalgia match that just got the boys on TV so we could see them?
Yeah, it kind of felt like that. I think at one point there was actually a TNA chant when we had Jeff Jarrett and Sting in the ring, which I don't think they were using as an insult. I think, they were using as there's been enough time passed since we've seen this, but no, this was kind of standard issue of what we've seen with, seen with these. I will say this though. I think it may be time to get Darby Allin a little bit of attention for himself, because for the better part of a year, man, I mean, it's been him and his big brother mentor Sting.
Uncle Sting in his death metal phase.
Yeah. So it's like, you look at a pay-per-view where you really had Jungle Boy, you had Sammy featured, you had MJF, you had those, pillars of AEW really featured. And, I feel like, not that he's not featured, but, he's really been in this Sting thing. Darby's really been in the Sting thing for quite a while, so I'd like to see him get his own.
Since Winter first got here.
Yeah, individual storylines. And, I mean, go back to, it was Full Gear last year, I think, where he and MJF tore the house down in that opening match. And I really kind of got to go back that far to really see the last time he was, highlighted, as an individual talent.
Yeah. Linda, your thoughts real quick on Sting and Darby versus Jarrett and Jay.
Well, in a moment, I mean, I was watching the pay-per-view amongst some new pals and strangers, if you will, at a Blast Area event. And it was funny because there were some guys there ordering a drink by me that obviously not current watchers pro wrestling, because they were just asking all these questions. And I'm just listening because they're right next to me. And one guy just walked in and goes, "Man, is that Sting? I haven't seen him in so I think it just to your point, that's just a nostalgic moment for those who see Double J and Sting in the ring again. So that was cool to see just as a fan as well. But I do agree with Matthew. I think that Darby Allin, a tremendous talent and just so different from everybody else there that, I mean, while yes, he can be given this like stronger singles run, I still feel that they can still clump him, I'm just say clump, but pair him with Sting just because Sting is more so, here and there coming out with him, especially, or the match at the pay-per-views, or maybe it's one where he's just there for support, more like in a manager's role. But I think there's just something really neat between the two of them lining up different generations as well. But cool to see them getting that victory as well.
Hey, unfortunately, the next match, Linda, was not a victory for you, and it was a title loss. There is a new AEW Interim Women's Championship and champion, and to be completely honest, I believe this was the absolute right move to do. Toni Storm, great worker in the ring, had zero reaction from the crowd. I think the crowd had nothing for her. Jamie Hayter had a lot of steam. Jamie Hayter, your new AEW Women's Interim Champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also liked how Britt Baker came out and supported Jamie because there was always that back and forth. Are they really mad at each other, or are they actually out for eat themselves in the end? But we see now, especially after Britt losing to Saraya early in the night, her coming out and supporting Jamie was great to see, just showing their bond and their whole faction still remaining strong. But yeah, definitely a lot of that crowd behind Jamie Hayter. So while Team Longtime did lose points, I pretty much figured this was going to happen. One thing, and really, I don't really know the ins and outs of Thunder Rosa, when her return would be and the whole situation with that. But I was thinking like she may have popped up. I was hoping for Thunder Rosa to just come in at the very end of that match after Jamie Hayter, having her hand raised. But that being said, a lot of momentum behind Jamie Hayter. So just to go against my point I just made, let's keep things going strong with Jamie. And if we do want to insert Thunder Rosa, if she's ready to be back, let's do it here. I think that'd be cool to see between the two of them.
Hey, Matthew, this is probably the first time the interim champions can be champion for a long time. I mean, they've made an interim change. The other interim championships, the TNT championship with Sammy, with Cody, with the AEW World Championship, that only lasted a month or two, Matthew. So Jamie Hayter, the new women's interim champion.
Yeah, and the groundswell behind Hayter in the last few weeks and months reminded me a lot of what we saw with the Acclaim. The paper, right? On the Acclaim, you had a lot of that same sentiment with Hayter here. And I think when you look at both of these two, they've wrestled other places prior to AEW, but they feel like AEW's homegrown talent. It feels like somebody that, AEW fans can hold in high regard and say, hey, this is what distinguishes AEW from the competition. So I think it was the right time. And I think that AEW made some really, really good calls going forward from the pay-per-view the other night.
Tony Schiavone kept mentioning rubber match. So obviously the Trojan sponsored match between the Acclaimed and the Swerve in Our Glory. It was the Max Caster and Anthony Bowens taking on Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. The story here, Matthew, was that the Acclaimed retained in the third match, and Keith Lee did not want to use the pliers on the Acclaimed.
Yeah, man, we had a lot of tools in this pay-per-view, man. We had hammers, we had pliers, and
book bags. I mean, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Somebody got into my Uncle Lloyd's tool
brass
set.
Knuckles.
Yeah.
Oh, the Knox. Yeah, I don't think we got. Speaking of like Floyd, though, I don't think we got that bat from the Ocho, but yes.
So yeah, give me Keith Lee and Swerve as a storyline. I want to see these two guys.
Yeah.
Highlighted as singles. I think these are two major stars.
And I think they're gonna go. Yeah. I mean, it's time.
Kind of been. You had both of them just unfortunately kind of pushed to the back burner early as singles competitors. They grouped them together with a little bit of steam, but I want to see these two highlighted in a program, and I think that's what we're getting, here.
Linda, your thoughts on the Acclaim retaining? And Linda, did you see the music video?
I did. I'm just thinking back about what was on there that was fun and interesting, but
it was Captain Insano.
Well, yes. Besides Paul White, the guys impersonating Swerve, Keith Lee. My goodness. Lee, yeah. But no, I figured this was going to happen. I knew eventually Keith Lee and Swerve would have their split or ascension. Well, it was teased, kind of like with
the Ascension. Are they going to be on the show?
Dissension.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like with Britt Baker and with Jamie Hayter, there was like, are they really going to split? Are they going to fight? Or are they together?
This one seems like a real split to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And keep the titles on the Acclaim. They're so hot.
Yo, it's time for the main event. Yo, let's talk about it. It's MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, who is a motorboating son of a bitch. In his entrance, he saw a very largely endowed woman, and he motorboated her in his entrance. Just like that. MJF taking on Jon Moxley with William Regal. Linda, a couple ref bumps. Regal calls over to Mox, says, get the ref's attention. Regal slides in brass knucks to MJF. Pop. 1, 2, 3. A brand new AEW champion. Your thoughts on the motorboating and the championship?
I got to go back and watch that motorboating. I might have been stuffing my face with a slice of deep dish.
So MJF was stuffing his face with a slice of plumage.
Oh, I got to watch it back. But regarding that finish, that was a shock to me. I think my jaw even dropped a little bit, which was fun. And then that pizza.
So did MJF's right into it, right into the pump side.
But man, that was interesting. Just because, I mean, yeah, we saw the heated promo that we had that time in the ring between MJF and Regal. I did not expect this, considering Regal does run the Blackpool Combat Club. So does this mean Mox is now gone for a couple weeks while we have that transition?
I think
is MJF
done,
trying to
honestly?
Really? Okay. Well, okay. We have seen Brian Danielson, and oh my,
Claudio?
No.
Daniel Garcia?
No.
Tom Hanks?
Yes. No. Magnum PI. I'm having some arguments in back, but I don't know if you guys saw, there was some footage that came out from somebody, a fan at ringside, showing after Full Gear went off the air. Wheeler and Yuta. And Brian Danielson coming out to like tell Mox like what happened and just kind of. But that was a huge shock to me. Yeah. Oh, that William Regal.
Dastardly old time heel, Matthew Thomas. He was a old school heel. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I mean, that's, I guess, because you got to keep in mind too, this was not the plan. The whole Punk thing to throw another tool metaphor in there, a wrench in the whole. I
thought you were going to be talking about like Jam by Eye or maybe prison sex from Tool. Sorry.
Yeah, I missed those references there, but anyway, going ahead.
Yeah, stink fist.
So I lost my train of thought, unfortunately. But what could you do? What could you do to have MJF potentially betray the faith of the audience in this quasi-face turn? And I think that was about it. Because here's the thing: if MJF cheated the other night, it's par for the course with MJF. But basically, him and Regal combining together to betray the Blackpool Club, to basically destroy a stable. And I don't think you're still going to have a large MJF contingency. That's going to be a big thing with your fan base. I don't know how. I think as far as TV goes, as far as his tactics, he is going to be a heel. Whether he's treated like that by the fan base, I don't know. But this is the beginning of the MJF era. In this pay-per-view, specifically with that finish to that match, I think is the reset that AEW needed. You look at your champions, you look at where they're at now. This feels a lot more like original AEW homegrown talent than we had just a few months ago. So
remember, this should have been Punk most likely in this spot.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think since the Triple H regime has taken over WWE, AEW's had a little bit of trouble kind of finding their footing because they, for the first time in their existence, were not the new cool kid in town anymore. And so I think the booking has kind of had a hard time finding where they want to go. And then, of course, you've had all the personnel stuff with the Bucks and Punk and Ace Steel and Larry, all that stuff going on. So I think now you have got you've got AEW that really had a much needed reset the other night. And I think when you look back at the early years of AEW, you're really going to group it from 19 to 22. And I think this is going to be late 22 is going to be a reset and a potential different chapter for AEW.
Well, we're into the next chapter of the PWR Fantasy Draft for 22-23, and let's talk about it. Matthew Thomas did not have a single competitor on the Full Gear show. Made 0 points.
Yep.
Linda K and the man they call Meathead, Team Longtime, Team Meatheads, they scored, and they scored well. Your new totals brought to you by the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. In first place, the team they call Meatheads, 2,955. Second place, right behind, 2,930, Team Longtime. And then somewhere in the back, Matthew Nelson Mandela, Matt Damien, or what's it called this year again?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. We have Survivor Series coming up, I believe, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So Matthew.
Oh, it's this Saturday.
It's this Saturday. Okay. So Matthew Thomas, what is the strategy to get yourself out of the cellar?
Oh, I mean, I'm a big pro WWE roster, so it's still going to be my team as is, with no moves made, no drops happening, and my loyalty to my injured teammates here. So you're going to see big stuff. Maybe
coming from a guy that's got Cody that hasn't scored a single point since May. So
maybe some injured teammates will show up on this pay-per-view. Who knows? But
Linda K, thoughts? You're right. You're sorry that you're behind me. I had a burrito earlier, but you're right there, Linda K.
Well, I do have a lot of WWE in my roster as well. I've got to survey things. I got to see what happens on Raw tonight. Maybe even hold off, see what happens on SmackDown Friday to see if I should make any moves. It is a tight race right now between Team Longtime, the Matt. I'm combining your team to Matthew. The team they call Meatheads. But then that's again, right. Team Nelson Mandela also being WWE heavy on the roster should make for a great shakeup between the PWR today weekly fantasy draft. But I'm going to see how this week goes, and if something happens, you'll be the first to know.
We're only a couple shows away. The rosters will lock at the conclusion of the Royal Rumble in January. We're at the end of November now. Okay. Yes, at the conclusion, the rosters lock. Last year, I picked up Ronda Rousey right before the end of the pay-per-view. Didn't get the Royal Rumble win points, but I got Ronda for the rest of the pay-per-view. So at the conclusion of the Royal Rumble is when they lock. You got to make all your moves. So for Linda K, for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you next week. So long, everyone.